So here we are back again on the retrospective, and here we are, Tomas, talking about what I think may be the most chaotic, maybe the most entertaining Royal Rumble pay-per-view ever. Certainly with one of the most entertaining Rumble matches of all time, in my opinion. I have so much nostalgia with this show emanating from Fresno. So if I was of age, I feel like if we were of age, Tomas, and we knew each other, we would have been driving down to see the Royal Rumble.
Oh, absolutely. I remember kind of getting upset that my parents wouldn't take me to the show. I didn't realize how
Oh,
far it was from me back, in the
mm-hmm.
Sacramento area.
Yeah.
Fresno's a 3-hour drive. But that definitely would be a fun like overnight trip to witness this. And I think I knew somebody from school that went to the show and they said
Mm-hmm.
it was super fun. But my parents said, we're not gonna take you, but we'll order the show for you. So I was able to watch this live and
Yeah.
yeah, it was quite the trip getting to watch this live. Some fun matches on the show, a really boring world championship match, and I want to say a very I don't want to say forgettable, but a forgotten about opener.
Yeah, really good opener. I feel like before we get into this card and everything like that, let's talk about the build for this and the advertising, because as theater people, I feel like we would be remiss if we were to leave out talking about the West Side Story commercial. You have the Raw guys on one side, you have the SmackDown guys on the other. Rey Mysterio is my favorite in the commercial because he's wearing his mask and the wig is on over the mask, and it's just it's the funniest fucking thing. And
It
like,
is because you got guys like Mysterio, Big Show, Angle, Booker T
oh,
on the SmackDown side, and you guys got like Triple H, Randy
Bradshaw.
Orton, Bradshaw on the SmackDown side. And it was really funny, every year around the Rumble, I kind of make it like a pseudo tradition for myself to look up that commercial and watch it because that's probably the best. That one and the 2008 Royal Rumble were probably the two best pay-per-view advertisements that I can
Yeah.
remember. The Royal Rumble really paying an homage to Broadway, and WrestleMania, when we get there, paying an homage to Hollywood. We're going to be talking about the last time
Mm-hmm.
WrestleMania went Hollywood. Um, and yeah, I think my favorite part of that commercial was at the very end. Vince McMahon wakes up because it was a dream he had, and he
Mm-hmm.
goes, "That wasn't the Rumble I had in mind." And you know what? I'm having a case of Mandela effect. I could have swore after he said that, and they said the Royal Rumble, on this day at this time, I could have swore there was a part after where he said WWE the musical. I could have swore, but it was Mandela effect. I'm like, because
Yeah.
I watched that commercial up and down, and I was waiting for it to happen, and I'm like, no, I just
Never
remembered it
did.
wrong.
Never
Mm-mm.
did, yeah. But Vince basically outs himself as a hater of Broadway, saying that it's not the Rumble that he envisioned. I mean, it's like one of, if not the best pay-per-view commercial, I think. And the pay-per-view set does pay homage to West Side Story as well, with the clothesline of all, like, it looks very 1960s out here. You have the chain link fence lining the rampway. It's a really cool aesthetic, I think.
It is. And Kurt Angle actually recently spoke about this on his podcast when he and his co host reviewed the Royal Rumble. And he said he had so much fun filming that commercial, but the WWE would never do that again because it costs too much money.
Yeah. So if budget cuts is a legitimate reason here for us not getting those commercials anymore. So here we go. We got 5 matches on this card, and every single match on this card I feel like warranted being there, including the Rumble match itself, obviously. So you have a really nicely paced pay-per-view, and this is one of the pay-per-views we were talking about when we were getting into 2005. This is one I was more excited to talk about than most of the other ones, just because of how
Yeah,
awesome it is.
no, like, palate cleanser matches, no random tag team title matches like a lot of other
Mm-hmm.
Rumbles I've had, because I feel like the Royal Rumble, other than WrestleMania, is my favorite pay per view. And I feel like as a kid and even now as an adult, I get antsy waiting for the Royal Rumble match that I kind of want to just skip all the other matches and get to the fun part.
Yeah.
But this was a card where you didn't feel that antsiness. Every single match was a big blow off or a world
Mm-hmm.
championship match. We got some good, we got some weird, we got some. It's a fun rumble. It's one of the most consistent rumbles of all time. And like I said, as a kid, I have some great memories with this show. And this opener is a semi blow off to a feud that's been going on Raw for a
Mm-hmm.
while. The their only pay-per-view match, the Rated R Superstar Edge takes on the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. And both of these men are going to be in the Royal Rumble match. And that's one aspect of the Royal Rumble I really miss. It's two guys that hate each other so much where they're like, I'm going to win the Royal Rumble, but don't think I'm not going to come over and fuck you up before the match. Like they're willing to put their bodies on the line before this big Royal Rumble match. And the only disappointing part about this is that they would go on to have an even better street fight on Monday Night Raw. And I feel like they should have swapped it. I feel like they should have had a big one-on-one match on Raw, and then the blow-off should have been the street fight.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. This match, Edge makes his way to the ring first, and he comes out to Metalingus, by the way. Alter Bridge also provided the theme song for this event, Find the Real, which is unironically, Tomas, one of my favorite pay-per-view themes of all time. That one is a bop. I don't care what anybody says. Alter Bridge is the best. Edge comes out, Shawn comes out, and he's wrestling the first part of the match in his gear because Edge wants to get into this. This is a feud that's been boiling over since Taboo Tuesday, when Edge was, you know, so despondent, and his vitriol for Shawn Michaels has boiled to a point. And these two had to lock horns at some point, and here they are at the Royal Rumble, and they had a really kick-ass match here.
And, you know, it's such a personal feud. It was crazy to see how competitive this match was. Like I said, they will go on to have an even better street fight on Monday Night Raw, and that's where like the bad blood really came to a head. But this just felt like two guys that were trying to prove that, you know, they were better than one another, even though Edge has been running around with this paranoia that Shawn Michaels is out to get him. And even though Shawn Michaels did cost Edge the World Heavyweight Championship, as we said at New Year's Revolution, Shawn Michaels said, I'm not going to screw you out of the title, but if you do put your hands on me, I am going to hit you back. And Edge did hit Shawn Michaels with the unintended spear, and Shawn Michaels retaliated with a sweet chin music. So I really do like how this, you know, this isn't for a championship, and it's a really personal feud.
Yeah, it's a really nice feud progression overall. Edge, like, another thing I really appreciated about this is Shawn was really letting Edge get in a lot of offense, because Edge was, again, someone who was on the rise into the main event scene. He hadn't really quite hit that point yet, but Shawn was really letting him get in a lot of offense. Edge hit Shawn with an Edge-o-matic on the outside, and that provided a lot of heat for Edge. And this told a really good story as well. Edge's main focal point on this offense was Shawn's back. The same back that Shawn injured at the same event 7 years prior. So long-term continuity. I don't know if hardcore fans caught on back in the day, but that was the main focus of Edge's offense, and it was a really neat little detail.
Shawn Michaels is probably the greatest storyteller in professional wrestling. I can't think of one bad Shawn Michaels match, but I don't think Edge gets enough credit for his storytelling, because, you know, the story he was telling with the back. And one thing that Edge doesn't get enough credit for is that when he was a heel, he was a credible heel, because with a lot of his opponents, he would have their number. He knew how to reverse a lot of their signature moves. He knew how to basically keep the momentum, not just by working, you know, a body part, but just having an answer to all of, you know, his opponent's moves. Another great example would be WrestleMania 24 when he fought the Undertaker, and Edge had a counter for every single one of Undertaker's signature moves. If that's the same vibe in this match too.
What I'm thinking of in this one is Shawn attempting a sweet chin music and Edge doing a lovely counter into an electric chair drop, which is a really, really clean move that Shawn sold brilliantly. Again, a move on the back, Shawn's bad back. I believe Edge also stole Shawn's move, the sweet chin music.
He did. He was taunting up for it. And I don't think I've ever said this on this pod, but obviously Macho Man Randy Savage has the greatest elbow drop in history. Shawn Michaels is the second. He has the second best elbow drop. It's so fluid, and just the way he connects, it's a damn good elbow. And the thing about me and elbow drops is, if you're going to do an elbow drop, make it look like it fucking hurts. And Michaels is so impactful. This is also the debut of one of probably Edge's most underrated move in his arsenal, the Educator. It's an inverted sharpshooter that looks like it hurts like hell. And again, honestly, probably a lot more painful
on the
than
back.
The sharpshooter.
On the back. That's the main focus. And Shawn sold that move really well. They were putting it over, hey, this is Edge's new submission, the Educator, the Educator, the Educator. It's a great name also. Shawn eventually reaches the ropes. The way Edge is selling all these near falls, I thought was so freaking hilarious, just because he hits Michaels with the spear. Shawn kicks out, and Edge is practically pulling his hair out of his roots. Like, it's just, I mean, I know you have a chip on your shoulder, but like, don't like debilitate yourself of like anything and everything that you got. It's just, oh,
One great thing about Edge in this heel run from '04 all the way till 2010, when he would eventually turn back babyface, is that every single feud he had, he was the Joker to their Batman. But Edge, and also in that aspect, Edge adapted this obsession with his opponent. And Edge
mm-hmm.
was just so obsessed in this match with putting Shawn Michaels away just to get the last laugh on him that, yeah, he was willing to pull his own hair out over this.
God, I didn't even realize Edge was a heel for that long, but yeah, time flies. But Edge, so Shawn goes for an O'Connor roll, and Edge, like you mentioned, gets the best of his opponent, counters it into a victory roll. He holds onto the top rope for leverage, and Edge defeats Shawn Michaels. I mean, albeit a bit fluky, but again, Edge got the win. He got over here, which is exactly what needed to happen. Obviously, the feud would not be over. They would have a street fight on the next couple of weeks of Raw, which would be their best match. My thing with this match at the Royal Rumble, I'm going to give it 3.75 stars. This is a fantastic match,
Yeah,
but
excellent.
it never really kicked into that higher gear, you know?
Yes,
Like,
agreed.
I think they were saving it for the street fight, which is,
Yes.
you know, I get it. You know, the feud's not over, but this is a show that you're paying for, you know?
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Like I said, I would rather them have a competitive chess-like match on Raw and have the blow-off be in the street fight at the Royal Rumble, because Edge and Shawn Michaels are nowhere near each other going into WrestleMania, as we will talk about later in this podcast. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel like this was an excellent launching point for Edge. He got a huge win over Shawn Michaels here that he really needed. And you talk about street fights, they would go on in 2007 to have another excellent street fight, which I think is a hidden
Yeah.
gem.
What
The
is it
night
with
after,
what is it with Shawn and Edge having fantastic street fights?
yeah,
That's what I'm wondering.
it's the night after New Year's Revolution where Triple H would tear his quad for the second time, and Shawn Michaels is left all by himself to take on Rated RKO, and he has
I
an
remember that.
excellent street fight with
Mhm.
Edge on that show too. Which brings me to this point too. It's a damn shame that Edge and Shawn Michaels only worked a small handful of times.
Yeah, they had really good chemistry, and they showed it in this match. Again, their street fight on the Raw a couple weeks after this, I think, is their best one. Their match in '07, really solid as well. I remember which match you're talking about, but yeah, darn shame they didn't work more than they did. But perfectly solid opener here, and very, very competitive match to get the crowd hyped. You want to talk about things I miss about the Royal Rumble? Segments like this, where superstars go backstage and they draw their numbers. They sort of brought that back this previous year, but those were just videos on Twitter. They weren't on the actual pay-per-view itself. But here you have Eric Bischoff and Theodore Long backstage in their office, and they're kind of bickering over which brand is going to win the Rumble. The Tumbler is being controlled by Christy Hemme and Tori Wilson because, you know, eye candy, 2005. This first segment is so freaking funny. So you have Ric Flair and Eddie Guerrero both coming in to draw their numbers. Flair reaches in, grabs his. He is very happy about it indeed. Eddie Guerrero is so freaking disappointed, and he congratulates Rick. He shakes his hand and he leaves. And the key to this segment, Tomas, believe it or not, say what you want about her, is Christy Hemme, because she asks Rick, "What number did you get?" And Flair is just so freaking proud. He pulls the number out, he shows it off, and Christy's facial expression is what really gets this segment over the top for me. Because he's showing off his number, he's happy about it, and she's like, why would you be happy about that? It turns out Eddie Guerrero stole Ric Flair's number. He was off to his old lying, cheating, and stealing hijinks. And this segment was gold. I don't care what anybody says. I loved it.
This was really fun, and it just really harkens back to what I say every time we review a Royal Rumble. I just remember when interpromotional spots like this were special.
Mhm.
When, 4 times a year, that was the only time you saw Raw guys interact with SmackDown guys. And nowadays, you know how I feel about this, but it just pisses me off how people from SmackDown are just allowed to show up on Raw because, oh, they're in the Money in the Bank ladder match. It's like, well, too fucking bad. Stay on your own show. I just miss that invisible boundary of You don't come to my show, I don't come to yours. But if you do, oh, it's fucking on. It's a big fucking deal. And when we talk about the build to WrestleMania, that's when it really like is really special. And again, you see interactions with Eddie Guerrero and Ric Flair. And then again, just like a Survivor Series, we get interactions between Snitsky and Heidenreich, you know, the resident psychopaths of Raw and SmackDown at their respective shows. So I just I miss segments like this, and I loved it.
So great.
Okay, so they're getting ready for the next match, which I won't introduce, but Heidenreich is getting ready for his match, and I will give my thoughts right away after you introduce the match. But he's pacing around just talking about how much he hates caskets and all this stuff. And Snitsky comes up to him and, you know, Heidenreich says, I hate caskets. And Snitsky's like, I know you do, but I think I can help you out. A little bit of foreshadowing there. And it's just, again, it's like the two, I hate to say this because I'm not trying to pick on anyone, but it's like, imagine the kid in class who ate glue and the kid in class who ate his boogers, and they both found out about each other and now they're best friends. It was like that.
God, that's a bully statement right there. Don't be a bully, be a star.
Never. Like I said, I feel bad for making that statement.
No, fair enough. No, obviously it's all in good fun. So, what Tomas is referring to, let's get this fucking feud to bed. The Undertaker is going one-on-one with Heidenreich, this time under casket match rules, where the only way to win is to shove your opponent in the coffin that the Druids have brought out to ringside and close the lid. And
so
God, Heidenreich.
That's what I was referring to.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this match graphic. Heidenreich looks like a scared little chump in the match graphic. And this is the guy who cost the Undertaker the WWE Championship not once, but twice.
This is okay. So how did we get here? Obviously, we've covered it all in 2004 retrospective, but Heidenreich has cost the Undertaker WWE Championship opportunities at both No Mercy and Armageddon, the latter of which is a show Tomas absolutely loves. I will tell you that much. But in between there, Undertaker was able to get a win over Heidenreich in a regular wrestling match at Survivor Series, which is a terrible match. We've covered that in more detail, but here we go. Undertaker is basically out to get revenge for what happened at Armageddon. General Manager Teddy Long allows The Undertaker to select the stipulation this time. And Undertaker decides on a casket match, because of course he does. And this whole angle right here is so derivative of what The Undertaker went through with Kamala in 1992. Kamala was deathly afraid of caskets. Undertaker finally put him in one to put that feud to rest at that year's Survivor Series. Vince McMahon is rehashing it with Heidenreich here.
It was so, like, I don't want to say endearing, but, like, charming, his feud with Kamala, because Kamala would do the spot where Undertaker would dump him on the casket and Kamala would swear like he was on fire and wanting to get away from that thing as fast as he could. And again, like a lot of the Undertaker's feuds around this time and back in the day, Heidenreich was just the flavor of the month. He was the monster of the week. He was just the guy. He was, the Mothra to Undertaker's Godzilla, or the Mecha Godzilla to,
basically.
He was just the flavor of the week. But in this build, you would want to build Heidenreich up as this deranged badass that has a chance of taking down the Undertaker. But in this whole build, Heidenreich just looks like a scared little pussycat, a scaredy cat. He hates the caskets. He wants to get away from them. Undertaker is the king of mind games, so he knows. It's like finding out your bully is afraid of snakes, and you know exactly how to defeat him.
So his bully is Indiana Jones. His bully's Indiana Jones.
I should have fucking said spiders. But once you see
spiders,
how much Heidenreich is affected by caskets, it takes all of whatever intimidation Heidenreich may have in this match as a guy who cost the Undertaker the WWE Championship not once but twice. But yeah, it's a featured Undertaker match. You're there to see the Undertaker vanquish whatever foe he has. I don't care what you say. Heidenreich's theme is a bop.
Oh, it is. It totally is. I mean,
I love it.
I mean, thank God he's not coming out as a cryogenically frozen Nazi soldier like it was first pitched for him. It's call me crazy. as a kid, I was super entertained by this match. I think mainly because of the stipulation and just seeing the Undertaker finally whoop this guy's ass decisively.
I just never understood what Heidenreich's gimmick was. Was he just a weird guy, a psychopath?
He was a
I never
poet.
understood it.
He was a
just,
poet. He was
yeah,
a poet
we'll get to Heidenreich's disaster pieces soon enough, but nothing against John Heidenreich. You know, nothing against the man personally, but
no,
it just never clicked. It never clicked, whatever they were trying to do with him. Again, you know, we can make arguments about Snitsky being put in probably the worst case scenario in his feud, but the dude was a good worker. And
Snitsky was awesome.
In the fucking work. He put in the fucking work. Heidenreich, though, again, you put a man who has a very green wrestler with a very strange gimmick in his first feud with The Undertaker, you know, you're almost destined to fail.
Yeah, no shit he failed, but Heidenreich, I said it before and I'll say it again, it just doesn't feel like wrestling was his profession. And his offense and the way he sold some of Undertaker's offense looks very clunky in this thing. But you know what? At least the crowd in Fresno really seemed to enjoy themselves this time. Because if you go back and watch this match compared to their match at Survivor Series a couple months prior, it's freaking night and day. Their match at Survivor Series, the crowd does not give a rat's ass about. This time around, though, it's a casket match, so, you know, you're going to have a bit more brawling, and I'll give them credit. The stipulation, I feel like, really helped to mask Heidenreich's weaknesses in the ring.
Yeah.
Helped really, literally smoke and mirrors with the Druids coming out and the omniscient presence of smoke around the casket, which I think is great presentation. But, again, as you mentioned, Snitsky had an idea in that promo. They wrestle a pretty basic shitty match to start off with, and Snitsky runs interference, and it's 2-on-1 for a little bit. It's keeping in mind the casket had not been opened one time before this interference. Snitsky and Heidenreich have Taker in a front face lock. Snitsky asks the referees to open the lid. Fucking Kane was in that casket the whole time. Kane evens.
I love that.
That was such a cool moment. That was such an awesome moment. I marked for that as a kid. I was like, again, it's like Raw and SmackDown coming together. Like, you rarely saw this, you know? It was so cool. So freaking cool. But
it was
this match.
It was a lot more fun than their Survivor Series match. Again, with the stipulation, they were able to have a lot more fun with it. Probably my favorite spot in the match is after Kane fights off Snitsky. I will give Heidenreich credit. He did have a pretty damn good swinging sidewalk slam. And he hits the swinging side slam on Undertaker, and he goes for the pin. Because Heidenreich is so terrified of the casket, he didn't want anywhere near, and he thinks that if he just pins the Undertaker, he can get out of this match. But he can't at this point.
Nope. He's also skipping over the fact that after Kane and Snitsky brawl to the back, Heidenreich is trying to push the casket away from ringside to get it out of the hair. Like, realizing that, oh, if I get the casket out of the equation, I don't have to put Undertaker inside of it. But how the fuck do you win? How the fuck do you win if you don't...
I will admit, Heidenreich's characterization here was entertaining, even though that shouldn't be the thing. Again, it's like finding out the big villain's weakness is teddy bears or something like that. It's just, it's strange.
There was a pretty...
kind of like...
This match was pretty physical, too. I'll give them credit for that. Undertaker doing the knees into the ring step spot, which always, it always just, makes my blood curl.
At least the Undertaker knows how to perform that spot a lot prettier than Mick Foley did.
Yeah,
but said, "Fuck my kneecaps up, fam."
Taker still had knee replacement surgery later, to my recollection. But in any case, Heidenreich throws the casket into Taker's face at ringside, which is just a gnarly looking move. And in my opinion, the spot of the match is when Heidenreich is torso up inside the casket. The lid is closed on him, and Taker does the signature leg drop with the lid draped on top of Heidenreich.
Oh my god, that was gnarly.
That was so sick. Sick. That bumped this match up a whole star point because of that.
I was gonna say, I think that's probably the hardest bump Heidenreich took in his run in WWE.
Absolutely. But unfortunately, I mean, there's a couple little false finishes in here with Taker teasing losing. But
one false finish too many, in my opinion. That's the only knock I'm going to give this match.
Really? I mean, I liked when Heidenreich tried to close the lid and conquer his fear, and Taker stuck his hand out as the lid was closing. That was a good
That was
false
a cool
finish.
spot. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But Taker hits all of his greatest hits. Choke slam. Heidenreich ferociously sandbags Taker on the choke slam, Hulk Hogan style. Then Taker hits him with the tombstone, defeats Heidenreich decisively this time. Thank God this feud is over.
Yeah, this
I don't
feud, I
know.
can't believe this feud went from October to January. This was fun. I'm going to give it 3 stars. It was fun.
Okay. 3 stars. I mean, I'm gonna go 2. I'm gonna go 2 if I'm being realistic, but on an entertainment scale, I'll match your 3. But if I'm thinking realistically, it's probably a 2-star match, mainly because again, Heidenreich is still not very good. But I will say, this match I think did a great job of masking all of his weaknesses, and I think Taker worked well with him. Now, thank God Taker can move on to some better thing. Oh wait, yeah, there's still one more shitty match at No Way Out. He still has to go through before the good stuff.
Yeah. You know what?
Oh,
For everyone, a lot of people would probably say The Undertaker. Yeah, The Undertaker didn't take as many losses as maybe he should, but don't say he didn't fucking work the shittiest opponents of all
mm-hmm.
time. He
Yeah.
did it here. He does it in. I mean, we're talking about the guy who basically had to settle for Mark Henry at WrestleMania 22.
You know,
Nothing against Mark Henry, but
I wonder if there was ever a time when Taker almost hit a boiling point with Vince McMahon putting him through a gauntlet of shitty feuds all throughout this era. And obviously
I
Taker
mean,
wasn't going to jump ship to Impact or anything out of protest, but he was
I
too
mean,
the company.
Taker's been doing this since day one. Have you forgotten about the Giant Gonzalez?
Have you forgotten about the Kamala feud? And
Yeah,
God, I'll say it. Have you forgotten about the Diesel feud? Have you forgotten about
yeah.
the King Mabel feud? Like,
Mm-hmm.
man, he's fought so many like crummy matches against monsters. The main event of WrestleMania 13, really bad match against Sid, but it's
I swear, if Undertaker had $1 for every time Vince went up to him and said, "Can you do me a favor?"
oh, he could have retired after year number 1. He could
Yeah.
have retired after that, but anyhow, yeah, fun little casket match, but this is where we get the continuity of the Eddie Guerrero Ric Flair saga. Teddy Long approaches Eddie backstage and he's like, I know what you did, Eddie. Give me Ric Flair's number. And Evolution comes up to confront Eddie Guerrero. And it's like, oh God, Triple H with a racist statement that I dare not repeat on the air. Insult to
I
Guerrero.
kind of don't remember what you're talking about. So,
He called Eddie Guerrero a jumping bean.
oh, cool.
Yeah, great. Awesome. Yeah, good move. So
Yeah.
Eddie reluctantly gives Teddy Long back Ric Flair's number, which is interesting considering a segment I want to get into later. Like why did Eddie need to give away Ric Flair's number? He stole it fair and square. Basically, and then to add insult to injury, Eddie also stole something else, and Teddy Long somehow is aware of this. He holds his hand out. Eddie fakes him out. He's like, "Orale, Holmes, you know I love you," and like it's just he like gives Teddy a bro handshake, and Teddy's insistent. And he stole Ric Flair's wallet as well.
Love it.
This is
Love
like
it.
Flair sold it so freaking well. And then this is where you start to get the Evolution teasing, of their dissension. Batista wants to go run an errand and get his number, and Triple H wants to go through the game plan of going through Randy Orton at the very moment. So why does it fucking matter if Batista goes
Because
right now?
it matters because Triple H wants Batista to stay in his pack. He wants Batista to only focus on helping Triple H retain the World Heavyweight Championship and not, it's basically Triple H saying, no, 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 no. You don't get to have, Triple H is like a controlling partner. He doesn't want Batista to, pursue his ambitions because Triple H is afraid of Batista and he's kind of seeing the writing on the wall. Like Batista is fully capable of winning the Royal Rumble. Batista is fully capable of challenging me for my world championship, and Batista is fully capable of beating me for that world championship.
Yeah,
it's A plus storytelling.
It is A plus storytelling, but I'm just saying, what's stopping Batista from going to just go get his number at that very moment? Because like, there's no reason for Triple H to stop him because he already knows Batista's entered the Rumble. It's not like, you know, if Batista doesn't get his number in time, he won't be in
But
the Rumble.
Triple H wanted to stay in control. It's basically him saying, sit, stay, roll over.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But
very interesting complex that I noticed.
yeah, super interesting complex. Which, speaking of super interesting, you also have a segment back in the GM's room. Christian is there drawing his number. Very, very happy about the result there. And in walks John Cena, the United States champion, and all of his spinning title belt bling goodness there. He greets the general managers and he kisses Christy Hemi's hand, because of course he does. He's walking in. Tomas, why is he still pretending to be black? Why is he still pretending to be black?
But here's the thing. This is a feud that they teased for the longest time. And with the exception of one kind of match together, I'm very disappointed this feud didn't take off the way I wanted it to, because starting here all the way until the middle of the year, Christian has a strange obsession with John Cena. And not to like skip ahead, but when they get nearer to the draft, Christian Cage is like, he says he doesn't want to go to SmackDown. He says, I don't want to go to SmackDown, but if I did get drafted to SmackDown, I'd go and fight John Cena. So don't draft me to SmackDown. I'm just saying, if you were to draft me to SmackDown, it's very strange. It's like a weird crush Christian has on Cena. It's very strange.
And it all starts with this segment right here. So Cena goes in and he draws his number, and Christian basically claims that he can beat John Cena in a rap battle any day of the week. He is not impressed with John Cena's skill at freestyling, because remember, Tomas, John Cena holds a PhD in thugonomics. So why should Christian not be impressed? It's a PhD. How much like farther up on the ladder can you get?
Cena tells Christian, okay, fine, give me a rap. And the greatest line in this man's career, Christian says, hey, Tonko, give me a beat. And Tonko says, no.
No,
you don't pay me enough.
That is one problem that he was able to solve, Tomas. We finally did it. He did not give Christian a beat.
So Christian cuts a terrible rap that I dare you to repeat.
My name is Christian, the king of crunk. I'm taking you to school, Cena, and you're gonna flunk. I don't remember the whole thing. I'm not gonna do it, but he basically says,
and then at the end he says, and I'm gonna win the Rumble for all my peeps.
And Cena's like,
I mean, it wasn't a bad rap if you're in second grade.
Yeah, what's next? Christian Cage walks out with a turtleneck and starts shooting battle raps on Wardlow. What's next? You know, maybe just pull it one out of the hat.
Cena retaliates with a good rap, but it did not age well whatsoever.
You and Blackbeard sharing a bed when you sleep?
Yeah, basically 2005 was, oh, you're gay, so got you.
We've come a long way to see people like Anthony Bowens get a positive "he's gay" chant on Rampage, which is awesome to see. But anyway, on to the next match, Tomas. I know it's a lot of segments here, but they're fun segments. But yeah, next match.
On to the next match is a very fun match that I didn't expect to be as fun as it was. It is John Bradshaw Layfield defending his WWE Championship against Kurt Angle and The Big Show. How did we get here?
How the fuck did we get here? How in the fuck did we get here? Unfortunately, this is a feud. It doesn't really feel like it revolves around any of the wrestlers. It revolves around poor Joy Giovanni, who's caught in the middle of everything. Joy Giovanni, of course, was, I believe, it doesn't fucking matter. She was a finalist on the Diva Search. Doesn't matter her placement, but Kurt Angle is essentially, so Teddy Long announces a triple threat match for the Royal Rumble. Whoop-de-doo. Kurt Angle is flirting backstage with JBL's image consultant, Amy Weber, also a Diva Search alumni. So,
real quick, let's give a shout out to Giovanni and Weber. Yeah, they weren't used a lot, but I think the roles they were given, they actually did pretty well with Amy Weber in specific. I think if they would have given her more of a manager role, she could have flourished a little longer, but she would have
Yeah.
just a short run in the WWE.
Because unfortunately, she would leave the company, I believe, the next month after this, after
Yeah,
going through some unfortunate harassment
which
stuff
fucking
backstage.
sucks.
It fucking
But
sucks, yeah. Because Amy
there's
Weber
this
is like such a sweetheart, you know. But
Yeah, there's a hilarious segment where JBL is basically threatening to shoot Big Show with a tranquilizer dart again. And Amy Weber has the gun. She accidentally leans up against the wall and shoots JBL with it. So he is in this drunken, tranquilized state. And he goes out to the ring with this giant inflatable dinosaur because I think they're in Japan recording an episode of SmackDown.
I think so.
Yeah, but you know what? I think this is the build to No Way Out after thinking about it.
I think it is. I think it is. But in any case, Kurt Angle.
But I just wanted to praise Amy for that because every time she gets brought up, I think of that segment of
So
her leaning up against the wall and accidentally shooting JBL with the tranquilizer.
Kurt Angle goes backstage and goes into Amy Weber's dressing room. There is somebody in the shower, and Kurt is getting undressed, thinking that Amy's in there. Turns out it's Joy Giovanni, and Big Show is not happy with Kurt at all. And he's like, "It's not what you think, Show. It's not what you think." As he's wearing a wedding ring, by the way, just throwing that out there. So Joy Giovanni ends up getting kidnapped. She is tied and bound in JBL's limo. Makes it seem like JBL was the culprit. It's revealed at the end of the episode that Kurt Angle, Luther Reigns, and Mark Jindrak were behind it. They framed JBL, and Big Show finds out about it, beats the shit out of Kurt Angle the next week.
Yeah, and then there's this segment where JBL and Kurt Angle are really like they're about to bump heads, but then it finds out that the cabinet and Team Angle 2.0, they basically
Dear God.
put this all together. It was a ploy so they could get like an 8-on-1 beatdown on the Big Show, which is probably one of the most vicious attacks I've ever seen on Big Show. Like, God damn, could you outnumber him even more?
It was, but you didn't just compare Reigns and Jindrak to Haas and Benjamin. I didn't just hear that.
No, I didn't. What do you? I didn't feel like
didn't just hear that.
Names. I didn't want to say all their names.
You said Team Angle 2.0. That's comparing them to Haas and Benjamin, you fucker. That's
Tell that to the new Midnight Rockers or the new
Ooh, big yikes. It should also be noted that JBL and Kurt Angle wrestled a last man standing match at the call of the Big Show on the Go Home
Pretty
SmackDown.
sick.
No, it's not.
Sick.
No, it's not.
Pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, given the fucking stipulation they were shackled with, those two wrestled a pretty good match. JBL took 8 German suplexes from Kurt.
But at the same time, I feel like with the level of heels they both are, that's not a very compelling match on paper.
Not really. Yeah. And Kurt Angle said on his podcast when he talked about this triple threat match that he didn't like it. He didn't like this match, mainly because he could look at someone like a Bradshaw and someone like a Big Show. He said he could work a good match with either one of those guys one-on-one, but telling him to go in and work those two guys together, like, you know, that's a recipe for disaster. And I couldn't disagree with him more. All due respect, I thought this match was very fast-paced, very fun, considering the parties involved. Really, really pleasant surprise here, considering it.
Also, considering the carnage and the spots that a couple of these guys had to take, you know, it was pretty damn entertaining.
Yeah, loved. This is around the point where the Big Show was a super over babyface on SmackDown. He was doing the gimmick before he nails JBL with a chop. That was my favorite thing.
And again, probably the sickest bump in this match, which props to Big Show for making it look really damn good, is when JBL and Angle team up on Big Show on the outside. They hit him with a TV monitor, and like the big giant sequoia tree he plummets through the announce table.
He sure does. Yeah, it was such a like a big gigantic timber through the announce table.
Yeah, I think he did it off the steel steps too. So damn,
he did. Kurt hit him with
through that table.
Kurt hit him with one of the television monitors, and they go careening through the SmackDown announce table. JBL and Kurt worked for a little bit. I don't remember Kurt locking in an ankle lock per se, but Big Show comes back to life like King Kong, and he is basically, you know, choke slam to JBL. 2 count. One of the big gimmicks is JBL overcoming these greatest of odds that Teddy Long is putting on him and the creative ways that he's able to get out of it with his title. Big Show and JBL have an OMG moment where they go outside. Big Show spears JBL through the barricade. I flipped out when I saw that at 8 years old. I was like, holy crap, I've never seen that before. That is so sick. You know, it was just, it was awesome. So awesome.
Super fun match, but there was a lot of fucking interference by the end of this. Again,
Yeah.
you have two factions, two heel factions. Of course, they're all going to get involved. And the cabinet's goal, their job is to protect JBL's WWE Championship. So you got the Bashams, you got Jordan, you got Jindrak, you got Luther Reigns. It's just, man, could you overbook this anymore? But like in a good way.
Yeah. Big Show is about to beat Kurt Angle in the ring. Reigns and Jindrak pull him out of the ring and they start beating him up. And Reigns and Jindrak look like the biggest fucking nerds on the planet. As they're beating up the Big Show, their leader is getting pinned in the ring after a clothesline from hell, because as the cabinet is picking up JBL at ringside, Orlando Jordan sees that Kurt Angle is basically down and out. He basically is motivating his leader, his president, basically, to get in there. Angle is nailed with a clothesline from hell. JBL pins him. Big Show is all the way halfway up the ramp by this point, and JBL escapes with the title once again.
And how crazy is it that back in 05, Big Show was such a protected babyface that they were willing to make Angle be the fall guy. Like, this is the most protected Big Show will be all the way until 2013.
It is
2012, 2013, when he would win the world championship.
It sure is, man. It's insane. But again, considering where JBL was going to go at No Way Out, not really a surprise that Big Show did not take the fall here. So, with that being said, I'm going to disagree with Mr. Angle and say that I really enjoyed this match. I'm going to give it 3 stars. This match had a bit too much interference for my liking, and I feel like if it were a bit longer, give these guys a few more minutes to really space it out a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a little more. I'm going to give it 3 1/4 because I love the chaos and I love the pacing of this match. And you know what?
Yeah.
You could say it could be a little longer, but I feel like if it was even longer, it could have overstayed its welcome.
Fair enough.
I feel like just what they were trying to accomplish with this match, they did it pretty well. But this leads into the next segment, which was, I remember this segment as a kid in a good way, but then I rewatched it and there was a couple things about the segment that really bugged me. Eric Bischoff is scolding Teddy Long for saying like, wow, did you see all of that interference in that world title match? That would never happen on Raw. And Teddy Long brings up Evolution. So Bischoff, in a very important part here, Batista finally makes his way in to take his Royal Rumble number, and he overhears Bischoff say, as of right now, all of Evolution is banned from ringside for the World Heavyweight Championship match. And Batista overhears that, and he questions it, and Bischoff says, yeah, so do you want to tell Triple H, or should I? And Batista says, no, I'll do it. Kind of like,
Batista kind of has a smile on his face, too, because he kind of knows that his leader deserves it. But you're also forgetting a super fun part about that Batista segment. We cut to him walking down the hallway, and he is approached by an injured Carlito, who still has his arm in a sling. And his gimmick at this point is he's trying to sign a petition to get rid of Teddy Long as SmackDown general manager. This is a very forgettable part of Carlito's career if I ever saw it. He tries to get Batista to sign the petition. Batista is turning into a babyface, so he does not agree. Carlito chews on the apple, and you think he's gonna spit it in Batista's face, but then Batista asks him, "You remember what I did to La Resistance on Raw with the flagpole? Imagine what I could do with that petition." You know, he's referring to the incident where basically he stuck the flagpole up La Resistance's ass. So,
I love this segment because you really saw Batista coming into his own as a babyface.
Yeah, it was really good, and Batista came off like a super likable badass that wasn't taking any nonsense from anyone.
So
actually,
this part is memorable, but then I start seeing the flaws in it. JBL comes in with his cabinet, and he's already half drunk off a bottle of champagne, celebrating his WWE Championship win. And here was the thing: I don't know if JBL was just improvising. I don't know if he was ribbing Teddy Long because he's so close with him, or if he was legit drunk because he would not let Teddy Long get what he was trying to say out. And there's like this 30-second window of time where Teddy Long is trying to tell JBL something, but JBL won't shut the fuck up.
I'm a wrestling god. I'm God.
He won't stop cutting off Teddy Long. I don't know. He was either ribbing Teddy Long or he was
Must have been.
drunk.
Must have been, but
so Teddy Long basically tells, and this is why I have such a good memory with this segment because my parents were kind of watching the pay-per-view with me, and Teddy Long tells JBL that at No Way Out, he's going to face the man he didn't pin in the triple threat, the Big Show. And JBL actually gives a really good line. He says, "What's he going to do? Eat me?"
I'm gonna beat Big Show like he's gonna eat a pizza.
I love that. I don't know why. I thought it was funny. And
That's
Teddy Long
a
tells
drunk
JBL,
person line.
for the first time ever, he will defend the WWE Championship in a barbed wire steel cage match. And my mom audibly gasped at that idea.
Yeah, it sounded like a pretty heinous stipulation right there, and we'll touch on that at No Way Out once we get to that. But
And JBL's face when he heard barbed wire just immediately went from happy to, oh shit.
yeah, he escaped the triple threat match, but practically no way out for him. Stay tuned for that podcast. So up next, we have Randy Orton challenging Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship. Let's put a miserable end to Randy Orton's babyface experiment here. Again, it just feels so apparent. His whole reasoning behind, okay, I'm a babyface, and the whole reason why I should be World Heavyweight Champion is because I'm not Triple H. Let's go for a and I'm like, okay, Bobby Strong, revolutionary, you know?
Here's his argument. When you cheated to win the Elimination Chamber match, when I want another match, when. Like, he's making up excuses. He's basically being a big baby about this instead of just accepting the loss. And it's like, bro, it was an Elimination Chamber match. You can't cheat. Sure, he had interference, but
no disqualification. So his his solution to the problem is a wrestling match for this title, where theoretically Triple H could disqualify himself and he could still escape with the title. Dumb babyface.
Do you think this would have been a lot better if it was like a steel cage match?
Yeah, but again, they were going to do a steel cage match at No Way Out, as we just talked about. So I
feel like the steel cage matches are the one stipulation that you could do so close to each other and it wouldn't really matter.
Yeah,
like, I see them do steel cage matches like 6 weeks apart from each other, and it's like, it's a classic stip.
Yeah, at least it's not a last man standing match, right? But anyway.
I wish it was a...
He's like, don't give me ideas. What'd you think of this match?
I didn't like it.
Really?
It was boring.
Yeah.
It was slow. It was methodical. Randy Orton looked like a chump in this match.
Orton. Well, I mean, that's Randy Orton. He's methodically stomping Oh, wait, no, that's the Viper. This is shitty babyface Randy Orton from 2005.
I don't remember a lot of this match because it was boring. And WWE's brilliant way of protecting Randy Orton in this match was to give him a kayfabe concussion.
Yeah, that would not fly today, that's for sure. And the fact that they were like, oh, Randy Orton's a valiant babyface because he's fighting past a concussion. Okay.
So,
sure.
It was boring. It was worse than their Unforgiven match.
Really?
Saying a lot.
Wow. Yeah, no, that Unforgiven match had Coach coming in as the referee for no reason. It wasn't as overbooked as the Unforgiven match, that's for sure.
I feel like even as a kid, like, I wanted Randy Orton to win this match, but I saw the writing on the wall and it was just like, no, this is lame.
Yeah, because we were getting Triple H versus Batista at WrestleMania, and they were telling the story of Batista's fracture from Evolution so much better than they ever could have with Orton. It was so I mean, this match is just like Orton, Triple H tries to hit it, he tries to get the sledgehammer involved. Randy Orton makes a brief comeback. Orton pulls Hunter into the ring post. Triple H, he just basically throws Orton back in. It's a pedigree and wins.
No, the worst part of this match, and I hate spots like this, where Randy Orton's making the comeback and he's trying to go for the sledgehammer. He gets the sledgehammer and then he gets clotheslined out of his boots. And it's like, what was the point of teasing that sledgehammer if he was just going to get knocked on his ass again? And then he gets hit with a pedigree and Triple H just wins.
21 minutes, and it's a very unremarkable championship match.
Star and a half. It was fucking horrible.
I don't know how to rate this, man. I mean, it's easily the most forgettable match on this card. Um, I mean, the wrestling was, fundamentally fine, but I
I
mean,
feel
it's
like unless it was a gimmick match, Triple H and Randy Orton just did not click.
yeah, I don't think they did either. All due
Because look at
respect.
the only good matches they've had were a steel cage match and a last man standing match.
Ironically enough, right?
Yeah,
we won't get to those for another couple years, buddy.
yeah, two good last man standing matches.
No, fuck off. Yeah, no, the other last man standing match where Randy broke his collarbone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like
No,
that one too.
yeah, I mean, that one was bogged down by the injury. This one, like, did not have any of the bad luck carried over from New Year's Revolution. Nobody got hurt in this match, at least in reality. They
They
were
just
telling that
pretended that somebody was hurt.
they were pretending that Randy got a concussion, but
Didn't Randy Orton the next night on Raw beat Triple H in like a non-title match or something like that?
I don't remember that at all. I don't
Kind
remember
of
that
remember
at
that.
all.
I don't. Oh my god, they just like
Well, thankfully, this would
it's like
be
they told Randy Orton, "You win, except you don't."
this would this would be the merciful end to Randy Orton's babyface run, and he would go into a much better program throughout the year of 2005 that I can't wait to dig into deeper with you, starting with WrestleMania.
We'll get into that soon, and
Mhm.
we'll talk about a very vicious segment here on Raw, which basically turned him heel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
big time.
more on that later.
More on that later, but we got something
just
really
give you
fun to
guys
talk
a little,
about.
like a little taste test. He would move on to feud with Maven for like a minute.
Well, Maven was a heel. Maven was a heel.
Yeah, exactly. That was Orton's last feud before he turned heel again. He feuded with Maven.
Jesus Christ. Okay, yeah, but anyhow, next up, I mean, it's the match where we've all been waiting to talk about.
It's the 2005 30-man Royal Rumble match. 15 superstars from Raw, 15 superstars from SmackDown. It's a classic. We don't have to, harp on that anymore. Every 90 seconds, a new person comes in. You win by throwing your opponent over the top rope with both feet touching the floor. Winner of the match gets a world championship match of their choosing. That's very important. They were really, digging their heels into this, especially with last year Chris Benoit jumping ship to Monday Night Raw to challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship. So, the ball is in the winner's court here. And we open up with the two men who closed out WrestleMania last year, and Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit. What an eerie sight.
Good Lord. Okay, so Eddie Guerrero makes his entrance, and this should have been expected just based off the segments and him being very disappointed about the number he drew. He's got to run the table if he wants to win this Rumble. Number 2 comes out, and the crowd pops when Chris Benoit's music hits. JR and Taz, who are on commentary for this match, pop because they know that these guys are best friends, and they know each other very well, and anytime they get together, they put on a killer wrestling match. And the fact that these two were standing tall at the end of last year's WrestleMania as champions in one of the most heartwarming moments in history that can never be celebrated anymore. Here they are starting off the Rumble match, and my God,
Number 3.
Eddie Guerrero would pass away in November of 2005. God, I said it at Survivor Series on that pod even. Eddie wasn't really looking that great here. He looks pretty blown up. It was a battle royal too. So it wasn't like he was asked to do all the work for all of the 60 minutes, he eliminated halfway through. But
I was going to say, I don't want to bury the lead too much, but comparing the times, Eddie Guerrero was only in this for 28 minutes and Benoit was in there for 47 minutes. I'm pretty sure Eddie said, "Hey, I can't stay in this the whole way."
And I'm sure they would have kept Eddie Guerrero in there the entire match too. But Eddie and Benoit wrestle. I mean, it's freaking fantastic. But number
3 is the $1 million Tough Enough winner, Daniel Puder. Here we are.
Here we go.
This was his reward. He got, was it $1 million? Yeah, it was $1 million.
It was,
sure, yeah, probably 75.
Let me stop you right there. Actually, TMZ caught up with,
thank you.
Yeah, $250,000 for 1 year, and basically the $1 million was meaning 4-year contracts worth $1 million. So
yeah, but
what an investment.
So after Puder went through 6 weeks of a reality TV show, did the shitty Dixie dog fight at Armageddon, won over the Miz, ironically. This was his reward. Other than his contract, he got entered into the Royal Rumble, and this kid swore he was going to win the entire thing. Got on the mic, said he was going to win the Rumble, and I do not know what came over these men, but Eddie and Benoit proceed to beat the ever living dog shit out of this kid.
The Dixie dog shit out of Daniel Puder.
So I swear, the whole locker room just decided to band together and said, we're going to humiliate this kid and we're going to make him wish he never joined this company.
Well, because okay, think about this. Sorry to stop you, but Daniel Puder comes in and he, like, the $1 Million Tough Enough was such a failed experiment, even though it's considered probably the most successful Tough Enough ever, considering who came out of it. The Miz, Ryback, the Boogeyman. There were a lot of people in there. Luke Gallows. Like, the $1 Million Tough Enough, unfortunately, like, I mean, the way it was presented, it was like, you never get to see these guys showing off their wrestling skills, which is what should ultimately matter if you're gonna be a pro wrestler. Daniel Puder comes in and he's a pure athlete and everything, and like, again, this is what's so
want about the original NXT, but at least they got to wrestle in between all of the stupid, contests.
And
you
even
Bryan
dumber
Danielson and Wade Barrett, and Fred Drawser.
I don't want to get too ahead of myself there, but Daniel Puder, the stupidest thing is he goes through all this brouhaha in the $1 Million Tough Enough. Was essentially a popularity contest where the fans get to decide who the next superstar is. So you would think that this guy would be highly popular with these fans if he was going to win a reality show, if he was voted in. It's almost like if, you vote for your favorite contestant on American Idol and then they announce their first concert and then nobody goes to see them. Daniel Puder comes out and the company turns him heel. After he wins a popularity contest, and he gets no reaction.
Eddie and Benoit, again, proceed to victimize this kid. They chop him to hell. And I mean viciously chop him to hell. And here's my thing. Did Puder know this was going to happen, or did Eddie and Benoit go into business for themselves?
I don't think so.
I'm just sitting here thinking, watching, like, what's going through Peter's head? He's probably sitting there thinking, what the fuck are these guys doing to me? They're chopping him, the fucking shit out of him. They're body slamming him. They're just, oh my God, they're making this kid their bitch.
Eddie Guerrero gives him 3 amigos, and Daniel Puder forgets to drape his arm over Eddie's head, so Eddie has to hold Puder's hand through the suplexes. And then, number 4 is Bob Holly, and the music hits, and he runs down to the ring, and the gimmick is Bob Holly hates fucking rookies. He does not like them.
That's not a gimmick. That's just him in real life.
No, so he goes in there, and you think Chris Benoit was chopping Daniel Puder out of his shoes? Bob Holly chopped him even harder.
They proceed to just beat the shit out of this kid.
Yeah.
And then, to make it worse, Holly gives him the Alabama Nuts Crush.
Yep. Kicks him right in the Cupertino yam bags, hits him with the Alabama Slam, and
the stiffest Alabama Slam I've ever seen in my life.
Daniel Puder is chucked right over the top rope as the Hurricane makes his entrance at number 5. And believe it or not,
Puder was not just thrown over the top rope. He was thrown out of the WWE because you never see this fucking guy ever again.
Never. Disappears without a trace down to OVW. And then they release him later on in the year, 2005. So the $1 Million Tough Enough, if you discount where the Miz is right now and his success story and his passion for the business, $1 Million Tough Enough was a waste of time.
Every single Tough Enough in history was a fucking waste of time. Because if you thought Puder was a joke, remember Big Andy?
Oh, do I remember Big Andy? Yeah, I do. I sure do. The first one eliminated from that season was one half of the Funkadactyls.
Yeah.
Yeah, big waste of time.
What were you going to say about Puder?
Pardon?
You were going to go into something about Puder?
No, I was just... I mean, yeah, no, he disappeared without a trace. He was released from his contract. I believe he retired from wrestling in 2011, I want to say. He would go on to work a couple of indies here and there, but that was it for him in WWE. He was gone. Absolutely
It was
gone.
just, and this is what we remember Daniel Puder for winning this contest and then just getting absolutely victimized by three of the stiffest workers in the history of the business.
It is the stiffest hazing I've ever seen in my life. But in any case,
you know what? It's a shame. Obviously, Eddie and Benoit are not here to recollect this, and I don't know if anyone's brave enough to interview Bob Holly, but I would love to be a fly on the wall during that interview and find out what the fuck were they thinking.
God, I would love to be a fly on the wall during Bob Holly's conversation with Eddie and Benoit backstage about what they were going to do to that poor kid.
Yeah.
You know?
I never thought, I never thought I could see Eddie being a bully the way he was to this poor kid.
And this is a change. This is an Eddie Guerrero that had found religion at that point. He had, you know.
But here's the thing. I feel like it was a cover-up because when the Hurricane came out, they proceeded to beat the hell out of him too. But I think they were just trying to cover them. It was like, no. We're going to do this to everyone that comes out. And, you know, Gregory Helms, he has already punched his ticket to heaven. He probably was just like, okay, yeah, I'll do the job for you guys. It's cool. No hard feelings.
Mm-hmm. So it should be noted.
You can get a story out of.
Yeah, Eddie and Benoit chuck Bob Holly out of the ring as the Hurricane is making his entrance, and the crowd reacts pretty loudly to it. That's what's exciting about the Royal Rumble. People can get eliminated at any time. Hurricane goes in, he takes his beating, thankfully does not rip his knee out on the way like last year. Number 6 is Kenzo Suzuki in his only Royal Rumble appearance after a really shitty run in a tag team with Rene Dupree. And he's, you know, it's a pretty nice little showcase for him. He's working stiff with Benoit and Eddie. Out comes Edge at number 7. Out comes Edge. And Edge is a house of fire, and Edge would turn into a heavy favorite by the end of this match. He was pairing off with Eddie Guerrero a lot. It was, I loved Edge's fire. Loved Edge's fire in this thing.
Yeah, he was really kicking into high gear at this point. And after he beat Shawn Michaels in the opener, he's coming in with a lot of confidence and a lot of momentum. Number 8 is Rey Mysterio. He gets a big pop. Like always, I feel like we're about to head into Rey's big singles push and a big feud coming up. So this was, again, a lot of momentum here. Number 9 is the Intercontinental Champion, Shelton Benjamin.
Kenzo was eliminated by Rey at this point, too. Keeping in mind, on that note, I was shocked when I was a kid to see Rey last to the Final 4 in this thing, because Rey was a cruiserweight. You know, Vince wasn't really going to push a cruiserweight. And Rey made it all the way close to the end. He was right in there.
Poor went out for Kenzo Suzuki. This is the last time we ever see him.
Is it really? Oh,
on pay-per-view.
Shit. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Poor went out for Kenzo Suzuki.
Okay.
They built him up like a badass.
Bro, you better hope that's empty.
It's closed. They advertise him as a badass, and they dress him up like Uncle Sam. 2 weeks into his run, and he never recovered.
Born in the USA. Anyway, I got to do it one more time before we never talk about this lad again. So Shelton Benjamin does come out at number 9, and the ring is starting to fill up a little bit. And it also should be noted that Taz is very much, you know, he's very patriotic about SmackDown. And you can't help but notice every time you watch this Rumble, every time that countdown clock comes on, Taz is begging for a SmackDown guy. Like, no matter, he doesn't care who it is, as long as they bleed Team Blue, he wants them in the match. You know?
Yeah, and he gets his wish at number 10 because it's Booker T.
Bookman! SmackDown! I'm like, yeah, it was, and he also mentions that last year at WrestleMania, Triple H and Booker T were in the main event. Absolutely not! No way! They were 4th to last on Mania 19, which was almost 2 years ago to this point.
Yeah.
Good job, Taz.
Yeah, Booker's not doing a lot there. Number 11 is a man who runs the gauntlet, Chris Jericho. Big babyface reaction for him. I think he was still flying high as a face at this point.
Yeah, Jericho was in there for a while as well. It should also be noted at this point to carry on from the GM debate backstage. Bischoff and Teddy Long are at ringside briefly to cheer on their brands. Number 12 is Luther Reigns. You must acknowledge him, Tomas. Acknowledge
Never.
him. Never.
Never.
Luther Reigns, the lost the lost tribal chief family member there.
So as you notice, the ring is starting to fill up with a lot of superstars.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason for this, because number 13 is
Wait,
Muhammad
hold on. Before we get to that, I must note that Raw and SmackDown guys, the line's been drawn. There's 4 on the Raw side, 4 on the SmackDown side. Now Raw is gonna rumble tonight. Now SmackDown's gonna have their way tonight. And it's a West Coast Rumble, you know? It's like they go at it and the crowd freaking loves it.
I want to do West Side Story so fucking bad.
Me too. You can tell that Riff is one of my dream roles.
Chino was one of mine. I want to do that so fucking bad.
Love that show so
like
much.
I said, number 13 is Muhammad Hassan. And you could have swore that a serial killer just entered the arena, because all of the wrestlers fucking stop what they're doing and they stare at Hassan. And Hassan makes his way in the ring, and they all gather around him like they're a bunch of lions surrounding a gazelle, and they just they dogpile him.
They dogpile him, and must I note, as Hassan is making his entrance, Luther Reigns, who is a fellow heel, is bad-mouthing Muhammad Hassan. Luther Reigns is super patriotic in this moment, coming off like a babyface here.
And you want to talk about Eddie coming off as a bully? I never thought I'd see Rey Mysterio come off as a bully, because he's participating in it too.
Hitting Hassan with a 619, and then what happens is, even the heels, Edge is telling Rey Mysterio to hit Muhammad Hassan with the 619, and then what happens is they body surf the angry Arab American completely out of the ring.
Also, Hassan took that bump pretty well.
He sure did. Credit to Mark Campani there for that one. It was, again, it's almost super uncomfortable when he makes his entrance. And I almost feel like that entrance music should have come on before the buzzer, because that entrance music was so freaking good at interrupting anything.
But here's the thing that bothers me. Again, I understand it's 2005. It's the gimmick. It's what they were trying to do. But they were trying to push Hassan pretty hard. This made him look pretty fucking weak. He was in there for less than a minute, and the whole locker room,
Jobbed him out.
If you really wanted to push this monster heel, you would have had him stay in there for at least 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, not to say that they would have let him be in there for over 20 minutes. I mean, if he had started off the Rumble match, like in place of Eddie or Benoit, which sounds preposterous, but if you give him a good 20 minutes from starting the match off with a guy like Benoit, who he had worked in a singles match on Raw, I mean, that would make him look pretty good. But again,
so there's a couple of, points I want to bring up about this. Number one, I get it. They're pushing this xenophobic narrative, and they thought that would get the crowd over. If Hassan's gimmick was a fucking Nazi, then yes, absolutely. That's the treatment he deserves.
Yeah.
But, you take a guy like Bray Wyatt, who's this creepy cult leader, he should be treated like that. But no, they put him in a position like the 2015 Royal Rumble, and he gets I feel like Hassan should have had one of those runs, like a 2010 CM Punk or a 2015 Bray Wyatt, or he would just clear the ring of like 5 or 6 participants.
And he would basically
the Royal Rumble that I love.
And he would basically do like a sermon where he would basically talk about, oh yeah, he's gonna eliminate every guy that comes in, like a Hurricane comes in. A Paul London comes in and he chucks them over the top rope, and then you have a big name like a Chris Jericho or a Chris Benoit toss him out. But I mean, again, in a parallel universe, yeah, that would have worked. Yeah. But I mean, for what it was, the Raw and SmackDown brands just outed themselves as a bunch of xenophobes. Taz on commentary said, "You can keep him on Raw." You can keep him on.
Yeah, again, unrelated, but I love that trope, by the way. The 2010 CM Punk, the 2015 Bray Wyatt, where they just fucking run the gauntlet against 5 or 6 guys. I love that shit, and I want to see it more. I feel
Brock Lesnar in 2020.
Yeah, I feel like Gunther should do that sometime.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's rumblings that Gunther could be the favorite to win the Rumble next year, but it's still a good 6 months out from that. So,
Absolutely.
entrant number
Taz is
15.
excited for SmackDown guys, but these next 5 people are SmackDown guys. But oh, you also forgot to talk about what happened before this match
Wait. What happened before this match?
with number 20.
Number 12. Oh, yeah. We'll get to that. We'll get to that when
Okay,
we get to
it's
the entrance.
Orlando Jordan.
Yeah. The first time I believe we're talking about Orlando Jordan on this podcast, JBL's chief of staff. I believe like how he had gotten over initially was he was like an enhancement talent on Velocity for, I don't know, like I don't even remember who it was, but he ends up being an enhancement talent that wins, like,
And then he wrestled
2003.
John Cena on an episode
Mhm.
of SmackDown in 2003 in his build with the Undertaker match. And Undertaker saves Jordan and endorses him on screen, which
Yeah.
if you got the endorsement from Undertaker on screen, he saw something in you.
Yeah.
Undertaker's radar was really off.
Orlando Jordan had been with the company for about a year and a half at this point. He has become JBL's right-hand man. There is a sign in the front row that says Orlando is the new Virgil. That is racist as well. Good freaking Lord. Orlando goes
But
in
here's
there.
the thing. The only cool thing Jordan ever did in his run is that continuity where the Undertaker endorsed him, but Jordan turned heel by attacking the Undertaker and joining up with JBL.
That's a good detail. Thank you for bringing that
Mhm.
up. Number 15 is Scotty 2 Hottie making a return from, I don't even remember what it was, but he hadn't been on TV for a bit. Scotty 2 Hottie comes out to his entrance music. Muhammad Hassan attacks Scotty 2 Hottie from behind. This is a gimmick about Scotty 2 Hottie that makes me so sad. Every time this bloke enters the Royal Rumble, he either gets the shit beat out of him once he enters the ring, or he never makes it to the ring because someone beat the shit out of him on the way to the ring.
You want to talk about The Rock being the unofficial winner? Or no, The Big Show being the unofficial winner of the 2000 Royal Rumble? Scotty Tuati has been the unofficial Royal Rumble like 5 years in a row.
He's the unofficial winner of the 2005 Royal Rumble. There it is. He never enters the match. Muhammad Hassan locks in a camel clutch as Davari screams in Arab in Scotty's face as he's getting the submission. But yeah, again, Taz was very, very excited for all the SmackDown talent that were coming in one after the other. But you get Orlando Jordan, Scotty 2 Hottie never makes it to the ring.
Marty Jannetty, Charlie Haas.
Oh. What's the difference? So what's the difference? This is the point where Booker T tosses out Luther and Orlando Jordan, and Taz is very pissed off indeed. The two SmackDown guys were tossed out 2 in a row.
SmackDown guy.
All right, another SmackDown guy. But
Tomas and Benjamin have a short reunion where they perform their awesome leapfrog guillotine spot.
That was a cool spot.
If Benjamin wasn't doing so fucking well on Raw, I would say, you know what, just reform this tag team. They would reform in 2007, but that's a ways off.
That is a
Haas
ways off.
is gonna have to, just sit in purgatory for a little bit before
he's gonna have to wait for a bit. They perform it on the number 17 entrant Rene Dupree. It should also be noted that Booker T was eliminated before Dupree ever made it. Yeah, Dupree, as Taz said, it's another SmackDown guy. Rene Dupree comes out with Fifi.
Yeah, I was gonna say more importantly noted that Fifi accompanied Dupree, and Fifi Gate is still alive. I'm still trying to figure out if it's the same dog every show.
You know what? After watching this show and shows like the Great American Bash where Fifi's accompanying him to the ring, there's no fucking way that was the same dog, because this Fifi had a different coat of fur, that's for sure. It was a different color. It was a different
Fifi is real.
Someone ask Rene Dupree that on his podcast, please.
I was gonna say, somebody please ask him if Fifi is okay. And I'm just sitting here thinking Fifi could have entered the Royal Rumble. She would have won.
No, Fifi's another SmackDown guy, according to Taz. Number 18. Oh, man, this is a gimmick I'm kind of interested to hear your thoughts on. Number 18 is Simon Dean.
I fucking love Simon Dean. I fucking love Simon Dean.
This is the old Hollywood Nova from ECW days. He's coming out as a fitness guru that you would see on those old 1970s infomercials that would try to sell you like the nutritional powder. They would try to sell you these nutritional shakes, and they would basically it was like a DDP yoga. It was like if they turned a DDP heel and he had his DDP yoga and he was trying to sell it to people.
But here's the thing. I loved the fucking hype video package they did for him advertising him coming to Raw. Because you could have swore, again, back in those days before we had DVR, like you're forced to watch the commercials, you could have swore it was a real infomercial until he started saying things like, yeah, you fat pieces of trash need to get up and exercise because you look like this and you eat like this. And then they said, Simon Dean coming soon to Raw. And I was just like, holy shit. Back in the day where hype packages were so fucking creative. But here's the thing.
Great.
You mentioned that he's ECW's Hollywood Nova. This was Vince's trope of, if you're from WCW or ECW, remember when you tried to put me out of business, I'm going to take you and put you in the most embarrassing gimmick ever. But here's the difference. Nova took this gimmick and he fucking ran with it.
Oh my God.
He ran with it for 2 years?
This is more living proof that Vince was trying to get back to character-based wrestling around this time of the Ruthless Aggression era, where you have people like Eugene coming in. Simon Dean is another example here. And it also should be noted, before Simon Dean ever came out, Edge tosses Shelton Benjamin in a very spectacular athletic elimination where Shelton jumps up on the top rope. Edge shoves Shelton Benjamin down to the floor. And it's at this point Simon Dean starts doing fucking Hindu squats on the floor, and JR is so offended by this. You've had all damn day to warm up. Get in the ring, you idiot.
Who says he has to?
Yeah.
You don't want to pull a hammy.
He can theoretically do Hindu squats until number 30 comes out.
Yeah, he's pulling a Nunzio from 04 from last year.
That's what he's doing.
The ring. But here's the thing. As entertaining as Simon Dean was here, he actually wouldn't do a lot on Raw. When he gets drafted to SmackDown, however, that's when things start happening. That's when he starts getting really entertaining.
Exactly. So Simon Dean is out doing Hindu squats. Edge tosses out Eddie Guerrero at this time, and the crowd is very, very sad about this. Eddie Guerrero lasted about 28 minutes in this Rumble. Very good showing, all things considered, but it was it's haunting looking back in hindsight how blown up Eddie looked. Even 10 months before his passing. Very, very sad.
In the Royal Rumble, you have your regular entrance, you have your surprise entrance, and then you have your joke entrances like Simon Dean. And then there's always when it's like, okay, now it's time to get fucking serious. Number 19 is Shawn Michaels. He gets a huge pop despite his loss earlier in the night. But here's the thing. Shawn Michaels enters the match, and Dean finally makes it through the match, and he gets super kicked out of the ring.
We were this close to a Shawn Michaels-Eddie Guerrero interaction.
We were
this close.
We were.
Apparently, that was supposed to be the planned match for WrestleMania 22. Also, was Shawn and Eddie. But yeah, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
But here's the thing: Shawn Michaels only lasts 5 minutes. Can you believe that?
It was so Shawn enters the ring. He goes right to Edge, and they pick up right where they left off in the opener. He sees Simon Dean doing jumping jacks in the corner, and he clotheslines him out of the ring. And then Shawn starts doing Hindu squats himself, and it's just it's so great. Shawn also eliminates Charlie Haas at this time. Number 20, the only SmackDown guys in the ring, it should be noted, are Rey Mysterio and Rene Dupree. Taz is sitting there begging for SmackDown. Thank God he gets it, because you get Kurt Angle in here at number 20. So how Kurt Angle got this spot was in a segment right before the Rumble match. You see Nunzio walking around with a number, and Kurt catches his number out of the air, and he's like, this isn't your number anymore unless you want to fight me for it. Nunzio doesn't feel like the title shot at Mania is worth it anymore, and Kurt just takes his spot in the Rumble.
I feel so bad for Nunzio, because imagine if you got a cupcake and you were so excited to eat that cupcake, and then some asshole comes up to you and takes it from you and says, this is mine now. What
Kurt.
The fuck?
Kurt was the bully that took Nunzio's lunch money away from him, and he couldn't get one of those grilled cheeses from the school lunch lady. So
fucking asshole.
I know, right? So Kurt Angle runs into the ring. He hits German suplexes on Benoit, Jericho, and Mysterio, hits angle slams on Edge and Dupree, and then he starts mixing it up with Shawn Michaels. Locks in the ankle lock, Michaels rolls through, sweet chin music, and Angle is out of there within seconds. Not a good night to be Kurt Angle.
All of that stuff you just said, those Germans, those ankle locks, the ankle slams. Kurt Angle did all of that in 37 seconds.
God, that dude's a machine, wasn't he?
He is. He is.
He is a freaking machine and a half. Shawn tosses Angle out of the ring, and Kurt is just livid on the outside. This is depressing. Kurt Angle is eliminated to make room for number 21, Jonathan fucking Coachman. Why is the Coach in the Rumble?
With this one, I'm going to bury the lead so hard with this one. Jonathan Coachman lasted longer than Booker T. He lasted longer than Luther Reigns. He lasted longer than Rene Dupree. He lasted longer than Shawn Michaels.
What?
He lasted, yep.
Oh my God.
He lasted longer than...
Lasted longer than Angle?
Yeah.
An Angle, probably Kane. Good Christ. Coach goes, so basically the gimmick is Coach was given this spot in the Rumble by Eric Bischoff as punishment for William Regal, who was originally slated to be in the Rumble match also. Coach took his spot, and basically Coach spends most of this Rumble cradling the bottom rope for dear life. He pulls a road dog from the year 2000.
Say what you want. Say what you want about Coach being in this match. But like I said before on, I think it was the Bad Blood review and the Backlash review, Coach is not scared to take spots. He's not scared to take bumps because who does he attack first?
Benoit.
Mm-hmm. And Coachman goes to his corner and cradles the rope, and then Benoit starts digging his knee into Coach's ribs, and then he picks him up and starts chopping Coachman. So props to Coach. Props to Coach.
Props to Coach for taking those chops from probably the most vicious chopper in the game, Benoit. Number 22, another SmackDown guy, Mark Jindrak. Yeah, he's got a chance. Don't you think? Yeah. Oh, man, he's got a great chance. Mark Jindrak comes out, one half of Team Angle 2.0, as Tomas so aptly put it. Jindrak and Kurt Angle enter the ring together. Kurt Angle has already been eliminated at this point, but this is something I so miss about the Rumble. I'm so glad Triple H was bringing this trope back in 2023, setting up the WrestleMania matches through the Rumble. Kurt Angle re-enters the ring, makes a beeline for the Heartbreak Kid, and chucks his ass over the top rope. And JR is livid at Kurt for doing this. Kurt Angle beats the shit out of Shawn on the outside, hits him with the steel stairs. Michaels busted open like nobody else. Kurt locks in the ankle lock on the steel steps. Shawn's selling of this is so awesome.
Loved it. It's an iconic image.
I was sitting there and I was like, Angle and Shawn, that's a new match, isn't it? I've never seen that before. This is gonna
be... When I saw that, I immediately thought, like, this is going to happen at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
And indeed, it was probably the best way to start a feud. Oh, my gosh.
It's so simple. It's so simple. These before we continue, it's so simple, and this is what I missed. These two guys were on different brands. They had never interacted before. So, Shawn... All it took for Angle to kickstart this feud was Shawn eliminating him from the Royal Rumble and costing him a title shot at Mania.
Because Angle is an obsessive psychopath at this point.
He's a poor sport. Yeah. He's a poor sport. So,
and then number 23 is Viscera? Wait.
Yeah.
Okay. How the fuck did we get here? In the build to No Mercy, JBL brings back ghosts of Undertaker's past, and he brought back Gangrel and Viscera. And Gangrel only stuck around for a couple weeks before he was written off. No, King Mabel himself was back full time with WWE, and may he rest in peace. Viscera is not a fun person to watch, and we're going to be talking about Viscera a lot in the next couple years. Yeah,
we are. JR says JR and Taz continually talk about who's going to throw this guy over the top rope. Because
we'll find out in 3 minutes.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So they always do this to like build up a new star in the Royal Rumble. They always say, "Oh, who could throw this guy over the top rope?" And he's always like, Big Show, Viscera, King Mabel size. And then you have a big superhero coming in, and we'll get to that. Not to bury the lead.
Yeah, it's like, I know this it isn't for a free year. It's like it's in 2007 when the Great Khali was in the Rumble. You're like, who the fuck's Undertaker?
Yeah. Number 24 is another SmackDown guy. It's Paul London. He runs down to the ring. Oh, I fucking love Paul London. He's so good. And this is actually the point where Paul London takes a French tickler drop from Rene Dupree. This is one of my favorite spots on commentary the entire match. Not necessarily Taz always begging for SmackDown guys. Not JR scolding Simon Dean for warming up some extra reps before he enters the ring. It's the French tickler jingle. As Rene Dupree drops Paul London, Taz, he's doing the French tickler. There's some dudes who are sitting up against the hard cam who are doing the French tickler in the opposite direction, and it's so freaking funny. So Taz is like, I'm a French man, I'm a French tickler guy.
Remember, they dubbed this man. Last year, they dubbed this man the French Phenom.
They sure did. Mm-hmm.
Now he's a French tickling man.
He sure is. Chris Jericho chucks his ass over the top rope, and Jericho does a rendition of the French tickler himself. Taz takes an opportunity to insult Fozzy in the meantime. And I'm like, great. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing about Chris Jericho. He is a disgrace for Fozzy. He's the best Muppet.
Get out of here, you idiot. Number 25, there's a very interesting entrant here, Tomas. Who is it? It's a former decorated Marine.
I actually didn't see anyone. It was weird. They played music and nobody came out.
They played music. Viscera chucked himself over the top rope. Batista was...
It's John Cena, ladies and gentlemen.
His name is John Cena!
Used to quote that.
Yep.
Cena is very, very, very big. He's getting very over at this point. He's also he's about to peak. He's about to peak. We're almost there before Cena explodes into stardom.
He's the United States champion still with that kick-ass US title spinner belt. He goes in there. He's a freaking house of fire. He comes into contact with Viscera and gives him a back body drop, chucks Viscera out of the Royal Rumble all by himself. And I'm like, yeah, that's how you get Cena over.
Fucking insane.
Yeah, Cena, like, he just goes in there and he's just like throwing haymakers at everybody. Number 26 is Gene Snitsky.
Snitsky eliminates Paul London by giving him the most vicious clothesline I have ever seen in my life. He decapitates London.
London does a shooting star press off of the apron in tribute to his recently released former tag team partner. Snitsky, okay, so when this happened in real time, live, I jumped out of my seat because I thought I just saw a man get killed right in front of me because Snitsky freaking, like, God, it's just such a snug clothesline. And they replay that stuff, and the reaction, that's no joke. That is no joke. And Paul London honestly gave me one of my personal favorite Royal Rumble eliminations just because of how spectacular it looked and how seamless it looked.
Here's a funny story, actually. Let's fast forward 2 years later, and I'm at Monday Night Raw, and I am probably 3 rows behind the announcers. Snitsky and Paul London actually worked the dark match, and Snitsky fucking decapitated him there too. I don't know what it is.
Wow.
It's a combination of Snitsky's, how fucking just snug and stiff Snitsky is, and London is selling.
It's so freaking cool, isn't it? And unfortunately, this elimination got Paul London in a lot of trouble backstage because it was actually... Paul London was accused of taking the attention away from some of the other guys in the match with this elimination. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what's taking the attention away from? Fucking Snitsky staring down John Cena? Like,
I agree with you that that's a stupid way to get heat, but I mean, London was really good at getting heat backstage.
He was great at getting heat backstage. It's unfortunate because Paul London's a great worker, but honestly, this elimination Like, who cares that it took away from a Snitsky stare down with fucking with fucking John Cena? You know, it's
You don't know what I'm referencing.
what? I'm so
Paul
confused.
London.
Oh god, you fucking piece of shit! I thought you were frozen. I thought he was frozen. If you're watching the video version of this podcast, Tomas was sitting there with a stupid-looking smile on his face.
Yeah,
Like Paul
same
London
stupid-looking smile that got Paul London fired.
watching Vince McMahon go and get blown up in the limousine. You
And
know,
the funny thing is that London was interviewed about that, and he said, we recorded that segment like 5 or 6 times, and I did that every single time, and they didn't tell me not to. It's like when you're in a show and and you do something stupid on stage that doesn't make sense. It's like, well, if the director's not going to tell me to stop, I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah. Paul London knows how silly that angle was, so probably that's probably what it was. But here's the thing: this elimination and the way Paul London sold it, I don't care that this took away from a Snitsky Cena stare down, because that elimination right there made Snitsky look like a badass, and it made him look like a killer. So
a hell of a lot more memorable than Cena and Snitsky, which Cena and Snitsky will work a match in 2008, and oh my God, Cena buried him.
Snitsky is in the ring and he's running roughshod. He is taking down Chris Benoit, who's lasted about 45 minutes after entering number 2 at this point. Out comes Kane at Lucky 27. Should be noted that Kane and Snitsky were heavily taped up around the arms and the ribs because they wrestled a no-holds-barred false count anywhere match on Raw a couple weeks prior to this. Kane and Snitsky did a spectacular spot where both guys jump off the stage. They go through a bunch of technical equipment and they end up with some injuries there. Kane chucks Mark Jindrak out of the ring. He is choke slamming everybody just like he did in 04. And out comes number 28, Tomas. Again, they played some music, and it's almost like this person's movements were so incredibly slow that you weren't able to detect him with the human eye. Two can play at this game, fucker. It's Batista.
It's Batista, and he is over as hell in this match, and they made him look like a fucking beast. He has 6 eliminations, including Batista bombing Kane, which... very weird fact. My dad was always so impressed that Batista could Batista bomb Kane.
Oh, yeah. It was so good. Batista gives Snitsky a very stiff exit. Indeed, Snitsky lands on his tailbone. Did not look comfortable. I believe he would take some time off after that spot. Don't know if that was the injury that caused it, but in any case... Batista bomb on Snitsky. He pitches Chris Jericho into a whole other universe and eliminates him from the Royal Rumble. Jericho lasted quite a long time in this match, didn't he?
Yeah, he lasted 38 minutes?
Something like that,
no,
yeah.
28 minutes.
Entered at 11, yeah. This is a very fast-paced Rumble match. It's boom, boom, boom. It's very chaotic, very fast-paced. Love this Rumble. But number 29... is Christian coming out with the waterproof blonde theme song. His problem solver is there, and he will once again prove to be absolutely fucking useless. Christian makes a beeline for John Cena after that segment we talked about. And here is an interesting little statistic here, Tomas. Number 30 is the Nature Boy Ric Flair. This is Ric Flair's first Rumble match in 12 years.
Since 1992, when he won the WWE Championship?
1993, actually.
Oh, shit. I didn't know he was in the 93.
Yeah, he entered number 1 in the 93 Rumble, and he was tossed out by Mr. Perfect. And then a couple weeks after, he would lose a Loser Leaves Raw match. Loser Leaves Town.
Perfect. Yes. I remember that.
And then Flair jumped ship to WCW after that again. So
interesting.
That's how they wrote him off. That's how they wrote him off in the mid-90s. So it was shortly after the 93 Rumble. So Flair goes in there, and... we're left with a very interesting final 8, wouldn't you say? Cena, I should note, Cena also gave Kane an attitude adjustment over the top rope and out of the match. So just to recap, Cena has eliminated both Viscera and Kane practically on his own.
Super Cena is already coming into fruition.
So Jonathan Coachman is tossed out after a spine buster from Batista, which again, credit to Coach. He took a spine buster from his friend last year, spine buster from Batista. Christian, oh my God, Batista pitches Christian practically into the first row. If you wanted to make Tyson Tomko an effective problem solver, you would have had him catch Christian and throw him back into the ring.
Yeah.
But no,
Or
he
pull
kept.
a New Day in 2016 and Christian could have sat on Tomko's shoulders for 15 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, but Christian came out closer to the end of the match, so they couldn't really do that. But um, throws Christian on top of Tomko. Christian barely lasts 2 minutes in this Rumble. This is the
Still
point.
lasted 10 seconds longer than Flair.
Sure did, sure did. Uh, this finish almost felt pretty rushed in a sense. I don't know what it was. So Batista throws out Coach, throws out no, it's Flair. Batista does the work, and then Flair gets the elimination. Batista and Flair toss out Coach. Christian is gone. This is where Chris Benoit's tossed out. And as a kid, I was so sad because I wanted to see Benoit go the distance again. I said around this time last year, when we talked about the '04 Rumble, that is the best Rumble match in history because of the story that they told. And, you know, Benoit's ascension and his eliminations, getting rid of all the big guys. This time around, Benoit was in there. And, you know, he was a workhorse, but it wasn't like the story of the Rumble was revolving around him.
No,
But
he lasted 47 minutes, but it's not like they really. You know how nowadays in Royal Rumble matches, I feel like the number one spot usually does run the mile, and they always like check in on us. They say, "Oh, just to let you know, so and so was lasting 20 minutes. Oh, they passed the 30-minute mark." They didn't really do that with Benoit.
I mean, they did that, but it was to a much, much lesser extent compared to the previous year. They would say, like, oh, yeah, Benoit's lasted about half an hour. He came in at number 2. You know, Paul London would make his entrance. This Benoit was number 2. He lasted 30 minutes. So, you know, they didn't necessarily keep as much of an eye on him as they did in the '04 Rumble. So,
No, no.
hits a Batista, gives him a vicious looking spine buster, and Benoit is convulsing on the canvas. Batista and Flair toss him over the top rope, and this is a funny thing also. Batista and Flair are celebrating, and as Flair is strutting and running around the ring, he goes and grabs Batista, and then he takes his own bump as he's running, and Batista doesn't move. It's so funny. And I don't
really thought. You really fucking thought.
like who's like as they're running in the Royal Rumble, like as they're going to eliminate someone who takes their own bump. I'm sorry, I'm like sounding like
Oh.
like rambling off nonsense right now, but I just thought that Flair spot was so fucking hilarious. I don't say what you want about Flair, but
Back then, yeah, he still had some entertaining aspects left in him.
super entertaining.
And this final 4, pretty damn good.
Flair
Edge,
Flair was
Ray,
eliminated by Edge, by the way.
yeah. Edge, Ray, Batista, and Cena. Edge and Batista technically your heels, and Cena and Ray your baby faces.
Cena and Ray had formed a tiny little alliance after Cena had tossed Kane out of the Rumble. 2 SmackDown guys, 2 Raw guys. Again,
That's a random tag team.
it sure is.
Cena
Yeah,
and Ray.
we're not playing that game right now. Cena and Ray, you know, they pair off with Batista and Edge. Edge and Ray lasted 40 minutes each in their own right, which is super impressive, especially when you think about where Edge was in the opening contest, working nearly 20 minutes with Shawn Michaels. So Edge himself worked about an hour total in this whole pay-per-view.
The real MVP of this pay-per-view.
Edge, Adam Copeland. So Edge spears both Batista and Cena, goes to spear Ray, who hits him with a 619. Edge spears Ray off the apron, and Ray is out of there. Edge at this point had eliminated Shelton, Eddie, Flair, and Mysterio. That's a very impressive lineup of eliminations in its own right. And it's a good way to make Edge look strong in defeat. Because shortly afterwards, Cena and Batista team up, and Edge is the third to last competitor in this Rumble, lasting over 40 minutes. So picture this. 2005, John Cena versus Batista, 2 graduates of the OVW class of 2002. And this is a full circle moment right here. This was so cool.
It is. And it's only the beginning. These 2 wrestle, and
oh, God.
This is probably the most insane coincidental spot in the history of wrestling, because you could have swore, when you look at it now, yeah, sure, you could tell that this wasn't planned, because why would they do a false finish like this. It's pointless. Just get to the point. You don't need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But Batista goes to Batista bomb Cena, and Cena kind of like shifts his weight over to kind of like do like a Hurricane Rana over the ropes. Yeah, he does it, but Batista's getting a lot better. He's still a clumsy fool at this point. Batista
You don't
pulls
say.
himself over the top rope. They both go tumbling down, and you could not plan this any better. They both hit the ground at the same exact time. Now, to get technical for just 1 second,
Yeah.
if you watch the replay in super slow-mo, Cena is on top of Batista, and his foot is draped over Batista's leg. So technically, Cena won.
Technically.
But again,
not the planned finish. Not the planned finish at all.
But the way they both hit the floor at the same exact time, you could not plan that if you tried.
This finish is a fucking miracle. Like how this all came together. So
like Batista easily could have just tumbled over the top rope, and Cena could have accidentally won the Royal Rumble.
So Batista basically trips on himself, and him and Cena pull in 1994 on accident. They both go over the top rope. They land simultaneously. I was sitting there like, who the fuck won? Who won? I
thought it was a plan. I thought it was, it was supposed to happen. But this is when, again, the way this was handled, it looked like it was part of the show, but it could have been handled a lot better. So, of course, they do the classic. The SmackDown referee thinks Cena won. The Raw referee thinks Batista won. Oh my God, who won the match?
Great improv.
Vince McMahon comes out and he is fuming. Edge tells his story perfectly on the podcast. You see Edge in the background walking off, and he says when he saw Vince, he was like, I'm getting the fuck away from him. I would not have wanted to been Cena or Batista in that moment. Because
I would recommend getting a first-hand account from Edge on the Inside the Ropes YouTube channel, and Edge cannot contain his laughter. It's actually pretty endearing listening to him give that interview.
If I was in Edge's position, I would have ran backstage, locked myself in the locker room, and just put on the TV. It's like, I'm watching this shit from afar. I want to be nowhere near Vince when he comes back here.
So the story goes, actually, that Vince was sitting in the gorilla director position, and he was like, damn it. He was like, he was in a panicked state, and he looks at his producers, and he's like, give me Bischoff. He said, give me Bischoff. Bischoff was gone. Bischoff had left the building. Damn it, give me Teddy Long. Teddy Long had left the building too, because Bischoff and Long, had like done their work for the evening. They didn't think this was going to happen. So Vince was like, damn it, I'll go out and do it myself. He power walks down the aisle,
throws his coat on the ground.
Slides.
This is not kayfabe. He's fucking pissed.
Slides into the ring, and you could sense this is a fever dream here, like the West Side Story commercial. He slides into the ring, and now he's just sitting there.
Tumbles like a ton of bricks. So I want you to picture this, everybody. You have Vince McMahon sitting on the ground, and you have Batista and Cena, these two meatheads, and Vince is screaming at them.
Yep, because Vince tore his quad on the way to the ring.
Not one quad, both of them.
Yeah, well, what happened was as he was leaving the ring, that's when he tore the other quad. So he's
How do you do that?
I don't know, because Vince is not the most athletic person in the world. So he slides into the ring, tears one quad, and he's sitting there barking instructions as Cena and Batista are trying to prove that they won the Rumble by tossing each other out. It's great improvisation here. And they finally they decide to redo the final two here. And I misunderstood. I misunderstood as a kid when Howard Finkel was like, he's ordered that this match be restarted. I was like, start the Royal Rumble over again. Let's do it.
Could you imagine?
Yeah. I misunderstood. I did not want the pay-per-view to end. I was having too much fun. I wanted a second Rumble match.
Here's the thing. This could have been prevented. This could have been prevented. Vince did not have to get so mad and storm out to the ring and slide into the ring. He could have just calmly, and I know it's Vince, this is asking a lot. He could have calmly, just on his headset, told the referee, restart the match. all you had to
Hmm.
do. But since you had to come out all huffy and puffy, you tore both of your quads.
Yeah, tore one quad on the way into the ring and tore your other quad as you left. And like, and as Edge puts it in the interview, he, like he's told by people working backstage, don't go in the hallway, do not
No.
go out in the hallway, because Vince McMahon refused help to
Yeah.
get to his limousine to take him to the hospital with two torn fucking quads. In his word, like, good lord, what an insane performance from Vince McMahon. Say what you want about him, but this is like,
Again,
goes to
like
the ring.
sometimes this is the definition of the phrase you can't make this shit up.
No, goes to the ring, tears both quads, and doesn't sell a lick of it. Couldn't
No.
have sensed that he was in any pain whatsoever. But anyway, Batista and Cena redo the finish. Batista hits Cena with a spine buster, chucks him out, and he wins the Royal Rumble. He's on his way to WrestleMania to fight Triple H. So,
It's great. And you
wow.
know what? It sucks. It really, really, really sucks because I feel like because of that confusing finish, it kind of took away from Batista's moment. The crowd was kind of so confused that they didn't even really pop for Batista winning. And I feel like if the match would have went without a hitch, he would have got a
Well,
huge pop.
Well, Sign Guy definitely did not pop for Batista because he would only cheer for the baby faces. Like, and he adamantly has said he only cheers for the baby faces. But
Good for him.
yeah, Batista, he's going to WrestleMania, does not point at the sign. Pointing at the sign was not a thing yet, but God, dude, this is such a chaotic and fun Royal Rumble. It's one of my personal favorites. I'm gonna give it
It's
four
fun.
and a half stars. I love this Rumble. Like,
You know me, I'm not one for rating Royal Rumble matches, so I really enjoyed this one. This one was really good. And again, that finish, you can't make this shit up.
cannot make it up. So can't wait. Stay tuned for our No Way Out and WrestleMania pods because we're gonna be in for quite the ride with one Batista. Overall, this Royal Rumble pay-per-view, it's really damn good, man. I'm gonna go 8.5.
I'm gonna go 8 out of 10. This was so fun and so nostalgic for me. Again, I think back to all these pay-per-views I ordered as a kid, and this is definitely one of those. Wow, I'm so glad. I'm so glad I couldn't be there, but I got to watch it live.
Certainly one of the most consistent and fun Royal Rumble pay-per-views across the board. Yeah, you kind of have a boring, forgettable world title match thrown in there, but everything else, I mean, even the shitty casket match I was entertained by. But yeah, this is like, there's more of this to come in 2005, thankfully. The overall quality of the pay-per-views considerably increased from
So
2004.
much better.
Yeah, so much better.
better.
But we got to get through a rough one first. Stay tuned for the next time on the retrospective when we talk about No Way Out 2005, emanating from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, headlined by the barbed wire steel cage match, as we talked about. We will also be discussing Money in the Bank 2023, which airs live on Peacock tomorrow afternoon at the time of recording here, since we are on the Pacific Coast. It's a 12 noon start time since it's over in London, so
At least it's not a Saudi Arabia show, and I don't have to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning to catch the pre-show.
There you go. But guys, lots of wrestling content to come. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. Hit that thumbs up. Let's see if we can get to 2,000 before the end of the year. That would be awesome. Any final thoughts on the Royal Rumble 05, my friend?
Super fun. Really enjoyed reliving this one. And you know what? I'm curious now because I don't remember No Way Out being that bad. So I'm probably in for an unpleasant surprise.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, it can't be much worse than Armageddon was, right?
No.
It cannot be much worse. But guys,
No.
stay tuned for all that content and much, much more. And yeah, take care, guys.